Check it out, I caught my first snake. Well, at least my first snake in my yard. Little guy. It's a little ring snake. It's alright. Relax, relax. There you go. Climb on board. There you go. There you go. You like that? Just checking stuff out. Nice. Pretty little guy. Hey, you're biting me. Trying to bite me. Whoa. Awesome. Oh, you're gonna fall. Set me free. Oh, sorry, man. Yep, head on out of here. Be free. So for today's project, we are going to swap out the entire exhaust system. I've taken off the front shield, but I bought a catalytic converter catback exhaust system, but it didn't have the front part and it doesn't matches up with a stock exhaust, so I ended up ordering the front half as well. The exhaust manifold's okay, but the issue is here where everything is falling apart. So this is where the exhaust manifold comes down. I've got it held together mainly by the whole exhaust by hose clamps. I've got standard coat hanger wire. Same. This joint busted out, so I've got it using hose clamps X'd off so it keeps them together. Then you can see a hose clamp with aluminum can. Way in the back, the red wire, that's speaker wire holding up the exhaust system because it broke in a couple different places. And then the back quarter, which is the muffler section, actually isn't even connected to the exhaust pipe because that broke off and I didn't even worry about it because it's not very loud. So that was the main reason why I wanted to exchange it. I thought I could just swap it out from here back, but it doesn't match up, so I ended up getting the header and then all these components to complete the whole thing. So that's what we're working on today. Oh yeah, and since I'm down here, the good old oil pan is going to get swapped out as well since I'm going to have this exhaust off. You can see how it had rusted through, and then I put a JB weld all over the bottom, but the problem is the rust started burning holes in around where the JB weld was, so it's been leaking. So I've just got a new pan that I'm going to put in. Thank God all the exhaust manifold bolts I was able to break them free. That was going to be a bear if they were all rusted shut. So I think I've got all the components. The under bolts I can't get off, but they're so broken up, I'll just break them off more and just rip them out of there. But I'm just hoping they gave me the right components so it all bolts in correctly. Otherwise, I will be screwed. Okay, all done. Here's all the old exhaust pieces there. There's my aluminum can bridge between two exhaust pipes that broke. A lot of these. This muffler I just changed out less than 6 months ago. You can see how good that lasted. Oil pan with the JB weld, which worked fine right there, but then it started rusting around the edges here and started leaking again. So you can kind of tell it wasn't going to last much longer before there was a big gusher. But swap that out. And all the pieces like that had stereo wire holding it all up where it broke by the mounts. And we got nice and shiny. I just went to the headers because it's just a quick, easy replacement. A lot cleaner than that big old exhaust manifold. Not exactly California smog legal anymore, but oh well. New oil pan underneath there as well. And then a full exhaust system all the way to the back. So replace the whole thing. And with one of these little ricer mufflers there with a little baffle. That is it. I originally bought the Catback system for $80, which was supposed to be like where the catalytic converter ends here on the existing stock one, and I just bought the pipes in the back and into the muffler. But the parts that they sell it for are not for the stock parts, it's for aftermarket parts. So I went ahead and spent another $60 to get the header and then 2 more extension pipes to make it reach to the end there, to make it a complete kit. It ended up costing me the same as buying the whole kit. It just took a little bit longer, but I couldn't do it during the hurricane anyways. No real problems. It's a snug fit, so you basically have to barely I was wondering why they give such long bolts on all these adapters end to ends, but it's because there's so much free play. You have to put all the pieces together, but just thread them a couple of threads just so they're hanging there, get all the whole system put in there, and then go back and tighten it up, because otherwise you tighten everything in the middle, you have a 3 or 4 inch gap that you can't compress it. So that was kind of a little bit of a tricky. The only other bad thing I had was with the oil pan. I bought a kit where you got the oil pan, the gasket, and some gasket glue all in one box. But the gasket that the oil pan gasket they sent was wrong, or it was bad, or the front gap of it, the longer side of it, was about a 1/2 inch too long. So it didn't even test. When I test fit it, it wasn't even right. So I had to go out and get one from AutoZone, and that fit right on there, so it didn't stop me. Then the air sensors on the stock ones, there's one on top, one on the bottom, right on the exhaust manifold, where these inlets, they've got way back farther in the header, after the header, so I don't really need them anyway, so I'm not going to worry about it. I was getting a check engine light anyways, because one of them is bad, or both of them is bad, and I'm not going to spend 50 bucks each for those. But otherwise, that is it. No more oil puddles, and no more leaky exhaust, and noisy exhaust, and rusty exhaust. So that's the car done for now, and an oil change. The third project for the Honda Civic was this wiring harness for my passenger side tail lights. I'd gotten some water in there. I'm sure it was probably salt water, because the bulbs were corroded in and broke when I tried to replace them. And then I found out the socket where the wire loom meets up with this wiring harness for all these 5 or 6 different lights had burned out and shorted out within itself. I ordered a used one off of eBay, which is just a wire loom for all the lights, and then when I went to plug it in, I noticed that that plug was burnt up on both sides, so I had to individually wire each one with waterproof wire splices. So I got all 6 of those back in order, and we're up and legal again. Now that the car is done, we move on to this guy, the motorcycle, and it was having fuel starvation problems, or revving problems. It would go up to 4,000 RPMs and just flat, whether in neutral or first gear, second gear, utilizing the choke, no choke, sitting still, running. It just maxed out at 4,000, and that was it. So I knew it was a carburation fuel problem, because I was getting a spark pretty well. Then I thought I had bad fuel, and then I drained. I was able to, you have drain valves that you can reach while everything is assembled, and I drained each bowl thinking there was water in them. Only one of the bowls had fuel in it, the other one didn't have any fuel, so either the valve was clogged or it wasn't getting any fuel. So I had to take the carburetors out, and then I found out that this one side, this valve, the needle and seat, was stuck, that control the on the float valve, and this needle was stuck in there, so it wasn't allowing any fuel in there. So I was the whole time just running on one carburetor. That's why only 4,000. So I'd strip it apart, put new rubber gaskets, and then this needs to be replaced. It was kind of scuffed on the edges, so I sanded that down. The tip was crumbling. That's why I need to replace it, because it won't get a good seal. And then I polished the inside there, that seat, so it won't stick anymore, hopefully. And that should fix my fuel problem. So that's what the plan is for today. And we have success! Plus 4,000 RPMs, no problem. Happy days! There's those times when you're like doing so well and everything's working, and then the gods of something just slap your ass down. Okay, so took the motorcycle on a ride, test that carburetor, ran great, idles great, revs great, got it home, parked it, shut it off, and I thought, oh, I better just try firing it back up to make sure it doesn't flood out or anything. Fired it up, it stuttered, and then shut off. But everything shut off, all power, no lights, nothing was working. Starter wasn't working. I'm like, oh crap. I thought I had been having problems with something, a short up front here in the ignition, because if you do a hard right or hard left, you could see it blinking out and then it would turn back on. So I knew there was already a problem there, but as soon as I pulled in and then tried turning it back on again, it just died. Luckily there's like this forum for this type of motorcycle, and there's a common problem with the ignition switch, and that's what mine was. So you have the key fob here that turns the ignition on, and this piece is actually the bottom part that attaches to the underneath of it, and then the key engages this and turns it, which fires up all your ignition. And there's 5 wires or whatnot, and the one common problem is this dark green wire, which is soldered right to that connection there, was loose and then finally broke, and that's what powers everything else off. And that's why it was cracked, and it was sometimes it would short out, sometimes it wouldn't, and then finally it just gave up and broke all the way off. And $150 to replace this piece right here. Fuck. Just shoot me. So I'm going to try to hot wire this thing to make it work. I've got one on order. If I can hot wire it or repair it. I've tried soldering it, but I think I have to get underneath this plastic inside there and then get the wire through it and solder it in order for it to hold. But if not, I could try just hot wiring the whole thing, or just wait for 10 days until that new piece comes in. Well, I ordered that part, $150, and that just like, that little piece of plastic and wiring. So I did do that ordering, but then I was like, well, screw this. Since I've got the new parts on order, I'm going to hack that piece up and see if I can fix it. And I got it to work. So I've got the wiring hook, so it's getting power. All my stuff lights up. But now when I hit the starter, I'm on a kickstand. But when I hit the starter button, it kills all the power. There's a little click on the starter solenoid, and that's it. And then I have to shut the key off, turn it back on, and then everything lights up just as normal. Charge the battery. I'm thinking there's either not enough of a good connection to the key switch for some reason. I mean, it's separate entities, but when I hit that to fire to hit the starter, there's just not enough juice to kick that solenoid over, the starter solenoid. So I don't know, I have to figure out if maybe that soldering job is just enough to turn the lights and stuff on, but not enough to engage enough juice to the starter, or why it should take that much juice to start with. Yeah, so I gotta figure that out. But so I canceled that $150 part, so I said screw that. So I got this part working. So if I could figure out that solenoid starting issue, I think I'm good to go. So that's where I'm going to leave it at, because it's pissing down rain and I'm tired of working on stuff. So that's the video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next video.
where I'm not sure if I can go fishing because it's windy and rainy for the next week, but we'll see. Thanks for watching. Bye.
So on an upcoming episode of Kayak Mechanic, I'm going to be fixing this thing. This is my troll bike that I rescued from underneath the bridge, but the rust is finally taking its toll on this guy. So that handlebar is not going to last very long. So I don't think I could fix that, but probably need to replace it. But that'll be coming soon.